All right, folks. I think we are live. I think we are live. So welcome. This is our stream here on this Sunday evening, and I know it's been a few days since I streamed last. I'm actually going to zoom in on the camera while I'm talking. I know it's been a few days since we streamed, and my apologies. I did not end up streaming back on. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I had planned to stream. I ended up not streaming, um, largely due to the fact that the weather that I had expected to develop really didn't over Missouri. But anyways, speaking of the weather developing over Missouri, we actually have storms firing up right now, and I do apologize in advance. The audio once again is going to be somewhat poppy. Hopefully, somewhat tolerable though. I'm still waiting on my mics to come in through the mail that I ordered. So I'm still having to use the AirPods, or excuse me, they're not really AirPods. They're cheap knockoff versions of AirPods. But anyways, so here's what we got going on over the Ozarks. We've had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings get thrown out over or on, I should say, a somewhat significant line that's been developing out actually close to the lake. And so let's take a look at what's been happening. We actually see a little bit of weakening, it looks like, in the line, which is good as it starts to pass over somewhat of a tourist hotspot in the Lake of the Ozarks there. But we do have some warnings issued by the NWS office. So let's take a look at those. Let's take a look at this current one, sort of centered over Osceola. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, as issued by the NWS Springfield, Missouri office. And we have 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and core-size hail as the possible threats with this. So not anything super significant, but just barely cracking the minimum threshold to issue that severe thunderstorm warning. So that's kind of what you see for most of this line so far, rather sub-severe. And while this might be weakening just a little bit, it is still starting to fire, and there is a good chance that as we go through the evening, things could be ramping up. So just be on alert for that as we go forward in time and progress eastward. Places farther east, such as the St. Louis Metro and even Cape Girardeau. Again, you want to be on the lookout because we could see severe weather tonight. So that's something that we're going to be dealing with. We're also dealing with severe weather. This line doesn't just extend over Missouri. It also, you can see all the severe thunderstorm warnings out over the southern plains. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a look at this one. So let's see if we can't get I'm gonna try to pull up that radar site here. Okay. All right, so we're gonna hit show warnings window, and actually we have a tornado warning over Oklahoma. So let's take a look at that first, especially because it is somewhat close to the Oklahoma City metro. So all right, so here's what we got going on. We've got a tornado warning outlined in red here, and so let's see what we've got here. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles north of Hydro, moving east at 30 miles per hour. So, okay, so let's see, where's Hydro? Okay, Hydro is right here. So obviously, this is the cell that they are warning on here. Hazard tornado and golf ball size hail. So dropping some hail for sure. Definitely don't want to have your vehicle parked out if you're, and so if you're if let's say you don't even know where Hydro is. Okay, you're like me, you didn't even know this place existed. If you're in a place like Oklahoma City or El Reno where it's currently clear, but you can see the clouds building, obviously, to your west. Okay, if you have a garage, park your car in it because there's a good chance that you might be getting hailed on later tonight, and you don't want to be out in the storm, potentially getting yourself struck by lightning because you're trying to pull your car in. So just do it now while the sky is clear. Okay, you see all this lightning here? You don't want to be out in it for any reason. So that's that. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning issued. Looks like on the same storm, but covering a much broader area. Um, okay, so let's see here. Northeastern Washita County, Kingfisher County, northwestern Caddo County, Custer County, Blaine County, southeastern Dewey County, and northwestern Canadian County. So all of you are under a severe thunderstorm warning and seeing a little bit more of a hazard here. In the case we have this case we have 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and in this case we also have ping pong ball size hail. So, and then obviously this is radar indicated. So you definitely don't want to be out in this. Talking about wind gusts close to hurricane force, as well as some decent hail coming down. Not super large. That's kind of the theme here. Is we're not dealing with so much of at least too large of a hail threat, but we are dealing with the potential for very damaging winds. That's kind of the main story here. It's not so much of a hail threat. You don't want your car necessarily parked out in it, but it's not like triple pane window shattering hailstones or anything, at least not as of now. But what we're dealing with here is definitely a very significant straight line wind threat, that's for sure, and even a somewhat of a rotating hazard here as well as we see our first tornado warning looks like popping up. And so let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of these other more significant severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you get the point. So this one's actually got the, if I'm not mistaken, probably the destructive tag on it. Yes, I think. I'm reading. I believe so. I believe we do have the destructive tag on this. 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts and baseball-size hail. Okay, so we're starting to see some worse storms off to the west, which means really, if anything, for folks further east, once the main line goes through, don't let your guard down necessarily, because there may be more storms on the way that may actually be worse than what you've already dealt with. Okay, but nonetheless, we do have very destructive storms for Crowell, Truscott, Gilliland, Benjamin, and Vera. I believe are those the county. Okay, those might just be the. Okay, I think those are those are just cities. Okay, so those are cities in the path. I'm not too familiar with most of Oklahoma's political geography, so bear with me, folks. But so I'm just trying to. Okay, so in terms of the counties, looking at Ford, Foard, Knox, and southwestern Wilbarger and northwestern Baylor counties. So severe thunderstorms will locate along a line extending from 7 miles east of Chalk to 15 miles southeast of Swearingen, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. So let's take a look. Let's see if we can't. And we actually have a brand new tornado warning issued on as well. So let's take a look here. And it does look like it is starting to rotate. So let's see what the National Weather Service is saying there in Norman. Tornado warning for southern Ford County in northern Texas, as well as northern Knox County in northern Texas, as well as northwestern Baylor County in northern Texas. Okay, so actually, we were actually in Texas. Okay, I didn't realize that. So we're actually in far northern Texas. It's easy to get lost in the boundaries sometimes. But anyways, tornado. Okay, so this is actually quite significant. Tornado and hail up to 3 inches in diameter, folks. That's not even just windshield busting. That is windows on your house being busted. That's siding getting destroyed. That's forget the tornado. That's the hail alone is enough to do major damage. So definitely seek shelter in these storms. In fact, hail that large would probably seriously injure you if it fell on your head. Okay, possibly even kill you. So imagine a bunch of imagine a bunch of 3-inch diameter balls, just ice balls, just falling from the sky. Okay, that's what we're talking about here, as well as the tornadoes. So, needless to say, get to a safe space if you're in the path of this. So let's take a look here. So let's take a look exactly what we're dealing with. So Ford City, you're about to get slammed. Okay, you're pretty much getting slammed now. True Scott, same thing. And looking further along, not too much, but it looks like Vera as well as Red Springs may possibly get this if it holds together, as well as Seymour and Maybell. So just if you're in any of these locations here, be on the lookout. And needless to say, stay out of harm's way. You know the drill, folks. You dealt this sort of thing all the time, so but you know what to do. Just take. But this is one you want to take seriously here. This is a rotating thunderstorm, and you actually see perhaps a little bit of a breakup in the reflectivity there. But let's take a look. Let's look at the velocity. Okay, and I'm not sure. Okay, so this is actually. I'm not even sure why I'm still on why I am still on Norman's radar here. So we're gonna fix that. We're gonna switch to Frederick and see if we can get a better image here. Okay, so this is well, not too much not too much improvement, but you do definitely, at least on this image, you do see the you do see the velocity couplet here, and actually quite significant gate to gate shear here. Talking about on your outbounds over here, you're looking at, and again, I'm not sure why the status bar is not up, but just taking a look here, you're talking about I'm just going to estimate it, probably 50 to 60. Not let's see, what's our Nyquist? Yeah, so our Nyquist velocity 69 knots. So yeah, probably getting up there 50, 60s, 50 or 60 knots or so on the outbounds, as well as probably 40 to 50 on your inbounds. If I just had to estimate, I need to still need to look at that, see if I can't get the status bar down here to come back on. I'm not sure where it went to, but let's see if we can even. Let's see if we can. Can we say what? Um, can we get this? Can we get this on here somehow? Um, I'm not sure. We'll deal with this later, but that's besides the point. Let's take a look at correlation coefficient. See if we can't get anything to pop up. So we have a very looks like we have a very broad field. So let me first I'm gonna okay. So our rotation is essentially kind of centered right here. Let's see, correlation coefficient. Not really seeing much. Perhaps let's take a look here. We see okay, probably this area here, probably looking at somewhat of a hail core. Doesn't look like we're seeing, at least not debris, not a tornado touching down just yet, but definitely be on lookout for that. But definitely, I think we are seeing some large hail come down, particularly on the northern flank of the storm. So definitely Ford City. This again, remember, you're about to get brushed by this hail core here, as well as True Scott, and definitely, I'm not sure what this. Let's see, what highway is this? And I'm gonna look this up real quick, just so we can. I want to be, I want to be as helpful as possible. I don't want to just leave y'all hanging. Give me just a moment. Let me pull up. I'm pulling up my my road map here. So this is Ford City. So let's see. This would be. Bear with me, folks. I believe that is okay. That's Texas Highway 6 is what that is. That's Texas Highway 6. So Texas Highway 6 between Ford City and Truscott. If you're driving along there, I highly recommend pulling off. Find the nearest gas station or bank, perhaps something with one of those canopy roofs. Canopy. Sorry, I can't speak. Canopy roofs. Something like that. Those big old roofs that can shield your car. Just pull under it, and so you can shield your car from the hail. If not, if you can't make it home in the next few minutes or so, of course, and get your car in the garage or something like that. But definitely, this is no joke. You're talking about if these hailstones hit your car, you're talking about your windshield, both your front and your back windshield, will be destroyed, will be shattered instantly. Okay, these are 3-inch diameter hailstones. Okay, your windshields will be destroyed immediately, and that can obviously, if you're sitting in the car, that can obviously pose somewhat of a hazard to you as well. Glass flying everywhere. Your windshield, your windows will be destroyed immediately, and the rest of the body of your car will have serious dents in it, serious damage to it. So you don't want to be out in this, okay? As well as you have the potential for a tornado to touch down, so you don't want to be in the path of this thing, okay? You want to be inside. You don't want to be out and about. You really don't. But anywhere from Ford City down to Truscott, you really want to take this seriously. Now, moving on. Okay, we actually have another tornado warning issued. So let's see what is this here. Okay, it looks like we actually have this is a little bit more serious of a threat. So let's take a look. What do we have here? Not the best reflectivity image, unfortunately. So we have another case where we have a tornado warning inside of a severe thunderstorm, a larger severe thunderstorm warning. So this is issued out of the Fort Worth office. A tornado warning for western Lamar County as well as southeastern Fannin County, both these in north central Texas. A confirmed tornado was located near Honey Grove or 12 miles east of Bonham, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour, damaging tornado and quarter-size hail. Emergency management apparently has confirmed that this tornado is on the ground. And so let's see what we've got going on. Let's see if we can. Obviously, we have confirmation there's a tornado on the ground, so definitely seek shelter. Go to the basement or a storm. If you have a storm shelter outside that you can access easily, then use that. If you don't have a basement or a storm shelter, go to the most interior and lowest floor, most interior room that doesn't have any windows, and cover your head. Okay. Get all your family together, your pets, whatever. Make sure your pets are inside. That's for sure. But go inside. This is a confirmed tornado on the ground here. Just looks like this whole cell just southeast of Wyndham and south southwest of Honey Grove. So let's take a look here. Let's see what we've got on the. So not the best. Now, if we factor in, let's try. We'll punch in the storm motion vector here, and we actually do we. Okay, got distracted for a minute. Bear with me, folks. So in terms of the storm relative velocity, so we are going to. Let's see. Okay, I'm having a little brain fart here as to where I'm trying to figure out where it is. Oh, up here. That's right. Okay. So it's moving southeast. So from would be from the northwest. So that would be about 315 degrees, and moving at 25 miles an hour. So we'll just say 22 or what? Well, this is in meters per second. So oh, I need to switch out of this. That's why it's in show metric units. That's why it's doing that. Okay, try again. So storm motion vector coming from about 315, and it's in terms of knots. We'll just say 20. We'll say 22 knots. It's about 25 miles per hour. Okay. Um, so let's see here. So a little bit of really not much to show, and this is the unfortunate part of not having a radar necessarily that is close by, which would be nice, given as we are kind of on the edge of the domain for this radar. So, there's not a whole lot we can necessarily see. Now, at um, let's take a look at correlation coefficients. See if we see any debris flying anywhere. Not really, and I think this is another artifact. Unfortunately, the radar beam is just shooting way too high, well above where the storm or where probably the lower levels of the tornado and its surrounding environment are. So we're not really able to see much, and that's unfortunate. But that's just unfortunately we can't have radars everywhere. They're expensive, and we can only have so many of them. Um, so that's what we have to deal with. Perhaps if I'll try grab. Now this won't show us correlation coefficient, but if I grab the TDFW radar, we could perhaps get a little better idea of the rotation on the storm. Well, maybe not because I think we're outside. We're just outside the range. Okay, let's try T doll here. Yeah, same story, unfortunately. So that's unfortunate that we can't get. I wonder if I could maybe try Shreveport and see if we can get a little better idea here of what's going on. Yeah, pretty much getting a image that maybe would give 1980s television a run for its money in terms of quality of this image. So yeah, and that's just the unfortunate part of it. It's we're talking about a relatively rural area in northeastern Texas, far away from DFW as well as Shreveport. Kind of, in fact, not too far away from I-20. And let's see what else. Where's Tyler, Texas? I know Tyler is Tyler's down here. Okay, and my bad. This is actually I misspoke. This is actually I-30 here. This is headed towards I-30 in Texas, and so yeah. Unfortunately, I mean maybe okay. We're maybe picking up a little bit of some areas of higher velocity in here. It's hard to still make out a whole lot of rotation. But nonetheless, regardless, we have confirmation that this tornado is on the ground, okay? And that's why the tornado warning was issued. So damaging tornado as well as quarter-size hail. And it is moving southeastward. So just be on the lookout, especially if you are traveling along. Obviously, this is a major route going from if you're traveling between Dallas and Texarkana, be on the lookout because this storm's head towards the interstate there. Okay, so if it holds together, we have a tornado on the ground headed towards the I-30 corridor, probably on track to hit somewhere around Mount Vernon, maybe Saltillo or Saltillo. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce that, but that and perhaps even Mount Pleasant over here. Okay, this particular area, that's where we're talking about those exits Perhaps you could see the storm crossing I-30 there. So, with that being said, we're starting to see storms erupt, okay? And I think that's all in terms of the tornado warnings as of now. Hopefully that continues, but I'm not too hopeful about it. But basically, the overall setup here is you've got this stationary front, and I'll go ahead and before we get to the other severe thunderstorm warnings, I'll just pull up. This is basically what we're dealing with. Okay, so we've got this. Let me go back to the beginning. So this is the GFS. We're just going to use this to get a general idea of what's going on, of course. And I can even what I'll do is I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see. Whoops, but now I can't operate the control arrows. So let's see. Okay, that's about as good as I can do. So here we've got, obviously, this is our system that's rolling through. Okay, you can see here's our cyclone up here near the Canadian border with Minnesota. That's our low, and down it you can see you can see where sort of the cold front is. Okay, you can see where the frontal boundary is, and so we've had this sort of stationary boundary that's just been stalled out over the plains as well as the near the Ohio River Valley. Okay, we've just had this situation the last few days where it's just we've had bad weather across the board, across the plains, across the Midwest for the last few days. Okay, and things haven't really moved a whole lot. We've seen some breaks in it, but just generally speaking, we've had some bad weather and in many cases destructive and severe weather hanging out over these areas, and it's very large scale. Okay, a lot of populated areas have been impacted several times over the past few days. Now, the good news is that is going to be changing because it is starting to get its act together finally, and we actually have a front that is capable of actually pushing through and passing through, okay? But it's still going to take some time. We still got to deal with severe weather the rest of the day today and through the night, okay? But eventually what's going to happen is this system is going to pass its way through, and also you can see the low starting to fill in as well and weaken itself. So that's also going to contribute to the sort of dissipation of this threat overall. But you can see what happens. The front starts to move its way through and takes the storms with it, obviously, and eventually it exits the continental United States, and we get a little bit of high pressure moving in. Okay, finally. All right, and I'll show you. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit so you can see. But we actually have clearing skies. So this is Tuesday night, but you get the point. Early part of next week, we actually have calmer conditions over pretty much most of the eastern 2/3 of the country, except for, of course, the immediate coastline. Got some sea breeze activity, perhaps as well as just some return flow, perhaps around the Bermuda High, helping to trigger some of this, along with that exiting cold front boundary along the East Coast. That's what's keeping the East Coast unsettled, as well as, obviously, as I mentioned before, you've got your normal sea breeze activity down here at the Gulf Coast. With that being said, though, much of the interior portions of the country, basically between the Rockies to the coastline, okay, things actually clear out. Now, we will start seeing things heat up, of course. That's going to lead to things getting a lot hotter outside over the area, and that's going to be a different problem. But at least in terms of serious damage to property and wild storms, and obviously, of course, if you have summer plans, not necessarily ruining those summer plans, we actually have some hope there. So that's the good news. Is early next week we're actually going to see some calmer conditions present than what we have, or I shouldn't even say early next week. Really, it's early this week now. This week that we're coming into, we're going to see things clear out and calm down. Now, with all of that, of course, we have our next system that starts to get going out over the lee side of the Rockies there, the eastern Rockies. So it starts to get going. You start to see more unsettled weather as we get into Friday later this week. Okay, you start to see more unsettled weather over the eastern 2/3 of the United States. And that continues. Okay, that continues all through the weekend. where you have repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Um, I'm not sure. We're not. It's a little too early to tell just how severe that might be, but still, as with anything, anytime you have a system come through, you're typically going to deal with severe weather in one particular area. Especially in the summertime, you have a lot of the right ingredients together. Anytime you have a frontal boundary, obviously you have wind shear associated with it, and of course, just in general, in the summertime, you have very warm, moist air present in the very much an abundance of it, and that's present for most of the country now. As the jet stream has moved so far north, obviously it's retreated up into way up into Canada. Okay, so we have all that warm, buoyant air, and if we can get the wind shear factor, which anytime you have as long as you have a strong enough front, okay, you have the wind shear factor, and that's going to lead to potentially some another more rounds of severe weather. But that's later in the week, tail end of the week, next weekend, perhaps the early part of the following week. Okay, so but at least in the short term, we will see things clear out for most of the continental United States, especially east of the Rockies. So that's the good news. Now we still have to deal with this tonight, which is the bad news. Okay, we've still got storms firing up across the southern plains, across the Ozarks. So let's take a look here. So actually, one of those tornado warnings expired. It's actually this one, the first one I covered up here in just to the west of the Oklahoma City metro. Now we still have things firing up. We've got just a slew of severe thunderstorm warnings across the board, and I would be boring you guys to death if I went through all of them. But you can just see you can see. And let me get a better radar sight here going. So take just a minute for that to get loaded in. But let's see what we've got going on here. But again, we've got warnings across the board. We actually have a flash flood warning here. I do want to take a look at that. Flash flood warning issued by the Norman office, estimating between 1 to 3 inches of fallen. Flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. Of course, this is the plains. Things are very flat, so it doesn't take a whole lot to lead to some drainage problems here. But that's of course pretty much we're talking about places like Canton, west of Southard or Southard, north of Eagle City, Carlton. So that general area up there. And we now have, so this is that cell that prompted that tornado warning, and of course it is left behind, obviously, a flash flood warning in its trail. But we still actually have an ongoing, well, the tornado warning has been dropped. We have an ongoing severe thunderstorm threat here. So let's see what we've got going on here. Ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And that is, let's see, Washita, Kingfisher, Grady, Caddo. We have Oklahoma County as well. Oklahoma County. So Oklahoma County in Oklahoma, in the state of Oklahoma. Custer County, as well as Blaine and Canadian counties. Okay, so that is until 7:45 p.m. So about 15 more minutes on this one. So that's what we're talking about here. It's about to roll into Bridgeport as well as Hinton. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look at our latest radar frame. Let's see if we see some. I mean, there is some indication that we could perhaps have some hail coming down. Definitely, I think not too large of hail. We'll also take a look at correlation coefficient. Yeah, so perhaps a little bit of a hail core, especially on the northern side of it. But with that being said, let's take a look at some of these other warnings we have popping up, because we've got some interesting stuff going on. We have this cell here that is we'll pull up Midland's radar. It's actually not too far from the site where the storm is. Okay, come on. All right. So while that loads in, so you pretty much get the general idea with this. We're gonna see another round of storms, so just pay attention. Keep an eye on the radar. Keep an eye on obviously local stations in your area. We'll continue here for just a little while and keep tracking this. But pretty much anywhere through the southern plains, talking about Oklahoma, Texas, eventually probably Arkansas and parts of Louisiana as well, especially the northwestern part of the state, as well as the Show Me State, and eventually probably even Illinois, uh, along the Mississippi River as well. Places even like Western Kentucky. You're going to see that threat go through, go a little ways. Now, eventually, the good news is we are heading straight for the nighttime hours, so it's unlikely that we will see continued activity, so to speak. Probably things start to die down after a while as that heat source gets becomes no more. So I don't know why this is not working, but anyways, so Midland's radar is unfortunately not working too well. All right, come on. Um, okay, so this is. I don't know why we're having such difficulties with the radar, but that's okay. I'm gonna try. We're gonna try. We're gonna try restarting it real quick. See if we can't get it pulled up again. All right. So let's get back over to. Okay. Oops. All right. For some reason, this is the radar is just not software is just not wanting to cooperate today. So let's see. Oh my gosh. No, don't close. We need you to work. Okay. Well, this is obviously not going to work. So with that being said, let's pull up. You know what? Screw GR. We'll go to. We're just going to go to College of DuPage and just get a general idea. I know it's not going to tell us warnings. So I mean, yeah. Look, you can just see this is the infrared imagery. You can see what's firing up. Okay, this is actually pretty interesting to see. You can see these thunderstorms just blow up over the southern plains. And you also see some activity, the line running through Missouri, but nothing like what you see down here. Okay, this is where the real mess is occurring right here in northern and eastern Texas, as well as starting to drift into parts of Louisiana, and eventually it's going to get more into southern Missouri as well as Arkansas. This threat. But that remains to be seen. Obviously, you see our low once again spinning up here in northern along the border there, close to Air National Falls, Minnesota. But with that being said, so we'll check on the radar here, so you can see what's basically going on. You got all these cells. Most of them do have some. Most of these ones down here do have some sort of severe thunderstorm warning slapped on them, or they will at some point. So they're just blowing up. They're just blowing up. You got all these cells just blowing up here. So and of course the main thing is you want to be able to find your house on a map here. But out here you're talking about this is places like the Amarillo area. You got to be on alert. Most of it, honestly, probably past Lubbock and Midland, and of course Lubbock. They desperately need a break after what happened the other night. Again, the same system just stalled out and producing severe weather in a lot of the same areas. Okay, that's what you get with the stationary front is you get the same weather for several days at a time, and unfortunately, this one is just this is just continuous. Excuse me. This is just continuously firing up severe weather. The stationary front is it's just sitting there and it's tapping into all this warm, buoyant summer air, and it just is continuously firing up these storms. But eventually, it's actually going to start pushing through, and we're starting to see it push through. Okay, you can see the clearing out over Kansas, northern Missouri. Okay, the front's pushing through. You can see even these storms in Missouri starting to actually progress their way eastward, or I should say, kind of the storms themselves moving sort of east northeastward, but the overall line is also sort of progressing sort of south southeastward. Okay, so it's slowly but surely clearing out, and that's what we'll get to see as we go through the nighttime hours as well as tomorrow. All right, so we're going to try this a third time and see if hopefully third time is a charm. And we're going to see if we can't get this to work. So we're going to add the Iowa State feed in here. Okay. All right, so let's see if we can get anything to pull in here. Can we even get Mobile to work? Yeah, okay. All right, so yeah, I don't know why GR. So this is another thing too. While we're on the topic of storms firing up, we've also had a lot of storms fire up somewhat close to our studio here, but this is what we've been seeing for much of the Gulf Coast. Okay, we've been seeing storms firing up close to the coastline, and a lot of lightning with these. Okay, and a lot of this is also sort of feeding off the extra instability and dynamics of this system. Okay, that's why we've seen a little bit more of a active pattern the last few days, even with our sea breeze front activity. We actually saw a couple of them get severe thunderstorm warned out here. You see these yellow boxes popped up earlier. Sometimes that happens, especially with a system like this moving through, is you get things going just enough to where you get these storms just barely cracking either the wind threshold, like just barely hitting 60 mile per hour wind gusts, or 58 is the technical threshold, but you get the point. Just getting like 60 mile per hour wind gusts, maybe some hail as well. Even the hail is hard to get with it's really hard to get with these because there's really just not much wind shear present this time of the year in this region of the country. Nonetheless, that's what we're dealing with. So, of course, we've had this nasty cell that's just been kind of hanging out somewhat close to our studio here, and so it's gonna be a concern as well as some of these other storms that are firing up. And as we go throughout the evening, we're going to start to see this threat slowly start to make its way back out to sea as that sea breeze front starts to retreat out and become the land breeze overnight. Okay, so we'll see everything start to shift back out. So if you're headed home from the beaches, just keep that in mind that you very much so probably not going to encounter anything between now and sunset at the beach, but when you're heading home, you definitely could encounter some of these light shows in terms of the frequent lightning, the heavy rain, okay, perhaps blinding rain at times. So just be aware of that. Um, if you are headed in perhaps a little bit inland, and even some of these, like I said earlier, packing some strong winds with them, and we're getting some severe thunderstorm warnings thrown out from time to time. But all of that aside, let's go back to what we were originally looking at. See if we can't get this to work. So I'm gonna pull up Springfield, Missouri's radar and see what we can see here. Okay, so we actually have another severe thunderstorm warning issued. I'm actually going to I'm gonna grab the radar tower in Weldon Spring, and all right. So as soon as this loads, and this thing has been quite glitchy today, so we shall see. But as soon as it loads, we should get some radar data in here. Hopefully, a better than 1990s television quality picture in here of what's going on down there in Steelville. Okay, come on. Any day now. Any day now. All right, so that's taking its sweet time. I also want to so we'll get that in just a second. Just know for folks down in Steelville, Missouri, you are dealing with a thunderstorm that has had a severe thunderstorm warning slapped on it recently. With that being said, I'm also going to go as that pulls up. I'm going to pull up the National Hurricane Center. We're also going to briefly go through our tropical update because we have seen some things, not necessarily in the Atlantic, but definitely the Eastern Pacific has been firing up. We have two tropical storms out that way. I don't think we have no tropical activity here in the Atlantic, at least as identified by the National Hurricane Center. But we actually have tropical storms Cosme as well as Barbara, as well as another disturbance with a 50% chance of development over the next 7 days. Now we're gonna ignore that disturbance for now. It's headed out to sea, and so are these other two storms, which I'm going to demonstrate. So first, here's what we're dealing with. Barbara. You can see it roughly parallel to the coastline, then starts to diverge a little bit and go out to sea and dissipate. And you also see the same thing with Cosme. And again, it stays pretty short lived and well off the coastline and fizzles out pretty quickly. And that's the thing with this right now in the Eastern Pacific is most places not really in any kind of danger because the waters just are too cold for most of the basin, especially anywhere around even Cabo San Lucas, the southern tip. Okay, it's really only southern parts of Mexico as well as Central America that really have to be concerned at the moment. And here's the wind speed probabilities. We do have at least a non-zero chance that Barbara could brush this area. So a 5% chance is what this is of Tropical Storm Barbara hitting the tropical storm force wind threshold there, wind speeds there, hitting 39 miles per hour or 34 knots or higher. But nonetheless, pretty much staying offshore. Perhaps may make things just a little bit rougher there for parts of the west coast of Mexico. But for the most part, no other impacts to the area. So with that being said, let's see if our radar has pulled up yet. Okay, here we go. So this is all right. So I've grabbed the radar out of Weldon Spring, so this should work pretty well. Obviously, you see the line here. Nothing too severe, stretching down from around Quincy, Illinois, down through Warsaw and Osceola, but and starting to make its way through some hot spots here, Columbia, Jeff City as well. You've also got some discrete convection out ahead of it, starting to roll through the northeastern part of the Ozarks, as well as starting to get into the St. Louis metro. Okay, so here's what we got going on. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning. It's actually just been shortened. It's actually past Steelville now. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect, I should say, until 8 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Central Time for East Central Crawford County. At 7:44, a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles north of Cherryville or 7 miles east of Steelville, moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. Hazard 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter size hail. So let's take a look at this, see if we can't get a little better picture of what's going on. And keep in mind, we also have these nasty cells out here as well, which at any point could also get severe thunderstorm warned and are not, I should say, are not a joke either. Okay, so just because this one has the tag and this one doesn't, or this one doesn't mean one that they couldn't get it eventually, and two that you really, it's not like, oh, there's no hazards with them. Okay, these are still capable of producing strong winds and even some small hail. So let's take a look at this though. Let's take a look. We'll go ahead and switch to we'll switch to differential reflectivity. Not seeing too much in the way of a hail core. Really seems like mostly just heavy rain probably coming down. We'll take a look at KDP as well. So yeah, looking at heavy rain as well as some frequent lightning, especially on the leading edge of it, the eastern and northern leading edges especially. So that's primarily what we're dealing with. Just a very very nasty strong thunderstorm coming through, starting to make its way. And fortunately, I do know this area, so starting to make its way roughly down. I believe this is Highway 8 here. Yes, so Highway 8. They're starting to make its way. Probably, if it holds together, probably looking at some impacts in Potosi, Bonne Terre, Park Hills, and this corridor of 67 that is somewhat populated here, down from Bonne Terre to Farmington. Okay, could be in the path of this thing. Now, it doesn't look like it is likely to maintain severe status as it gets that far. If it was, I think the National Weather Service there in St. Charles, Weldon Spring, would probably have extended this polygon if it was, and it looks like it is probably starting to die out just a little bit. Now again, we've got another nasty cell coming down. This is Highway 47, down here between Richwoods and its intersection with Highway 21 and Old Mines right here. So we've got this little nasty cell. I don't think it's going to get severe thunderstorm warning, but just know it is headed. For those of you who live in this area that watch this channel, it is headed towards between DeSoto and Valley Mines. So just be on the lookout for that. This other storm here, down here, just east of Lake Spring, headed towards Cook Station, passing just to the north of Salem, Missouri, and also head towards Keysville, Cherryville, Davisville, and Viburnum, as well as Bixby. So, sort of heading. Let's see. This is Highway 32 here. I think I believe this is 72, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this is. Let's see. I know 72 connects down to Jackson, but I'm trying to figure out. I'm not sure. I think this. Um, I should know this offhand a little better than I do, but this is Highway 21. This here, I'm not entirely sure, but nonetheless, you get the point. We've also got another nasty cell firing up just to the north of Licking, basically right over Highway 63, and quite a light show there between Licking and Edgar Springs. And that also is headed, again, most of these are rural areas as you're starting to get up into the hills, okay, up into the mountains, Ozark Mountains, so to speak. Not super high mountains, but enough. It's these are fairly rural areas, is what I'm trying to get the point at. But the problem is, though, with that, of course, you don't have a whole lot of even things like gas stations in this area. That if you do get in the path of one of these hail cores, there's even not a whole lot of like gas stations that you can pull off that have those canopy roofs, okay, that you can pull under. So definitely want to kind of start making your way home. If you've been out and about this weekend, if you've been out and about today at church, or maybe went and ran some errands or something, you're still out and about. If you're in the eastern part of the state, you want to start making your way home. Okay, you want to be home for these. If you have a car, or excuse me, if you have a garage, probably want to pull your car in the garage, because some of these, like this one here, are getting the hail tag as well, and that's definitely has the potential to happen. Most of the larger hail staying down there in Oklahoma, Texas, the southern plains. Obviously, where more significant storms are firing up, but nonetheless, this is going to be somewhat of a nasty evening in terms of quite the light show. Okay, and these storms, they don't have to be rated severe for you to potentially get killed by the lightning. Okay, lightning is not a factor in severe thunderstorm warnings. So that goes without saying. Okay, if you have frequent lightning like what we're observing down here, you want to be inside. Okay, we also have this nasty cell sort of rolling through the northern part of the Lake of the Ozarks here, the northern sort of the northern edge of the lake here. So if you're out, it's starting to pass to the north, but you've got this short line here out from around just to the east of Sedalia now, running down through Coal Camp and Warsaw, as well as between as well as down to Vista and Collins, and that's going to definitely get you anywhere along the lake. And there is frequent lightning associated with this. So if you're out on a boat in the lake, hopefully not. Hopefully you've already hunkered down with some of these other nasty little cells that have come through. But if not, you want to be seeking shelter. Okay, get the boat back from the dock and definitely seek shelter and get everybody inside, because this is not something you want to mess around with here. This is not something you want to be out in the lake in your boat. Okay, and keep in mind too, you also have the potential, even though we're not getting the severe thunderstorm tag on this, you also have the potential for very significant observed wind speeds here. And I'm actually this is pretty far from the radar, so I'm actually going to I'm going to see if I can pull in Springfield's radar to get a better look at the velocity here. All right, so while that's loading, basically the point I want to make, and we'll get some more exact measurements here in a little while. All right, so here we go. It's pulled up now. So starting to again, this is what's occurring a little bit closer to the ground. Talking about wind speeds around, probably 35 to 45 miles per hour, somewhat close to the surface. That's what's going to be hitting the lake here in just a little while. So if you're out on a boat, remember, maybe not necessarily we're not necessarily getting a severe thunderstorm warning out of this, but nonetheless, frequent lightning. And when you're talking about wind speeds on the order of gale force, lower end tropical storm force, just to put that in perspective for you, and that's enough to the lightning, of course, is a hazard to you, and the wind as well could. That's enough to get the lake, choppy enough to if you, especially a smaller boat, perhaps capsize it. So you don't want that. You don't want to be out there in this light show that's about to move across the lake. So get indoors, pack it up. If you're still out there for some reason, pack it up, go inside, and seek shelter. So with that being said, we also have a couple more. It looks like we also have another thunderstorm. And again, what I just say, okay, any of these other cells at any point can get severe thunderstorm warned. And this one did. So let's take a look at it. So I'm gonna grab the I think Weldon Spring probably a little closer to this, so we'll get a better picture of them. I'm gonna grab St. Louis again, and or I should say, really it's St. Louis, but it's a little bit out in the more remote part of St. Louis. So more remote part of the St. Louis metro, I should say. But anyway, so that's besides the point. This is what we're dealing with here. So this cell, of course, we've been watching it between Salem and Cook Station. Okay, and there it is. You can see quite the reflectivity core on it. It's now been severe thunderstorm warned, and we have 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well as quarter-size hail. And what we're looking at in terms of the coverage area, looking at northeastern Dent County is what this covers. And this is actually, I guess this is technically in Springfield's coverage area. So we're outside of the St. Louis coverage area here, or I should say the St. Charles Weldon Spring office up there. Let's take a look at ZDR. Okay, we'll take a look at differential reflectivity and see what we've got going on. So I don't think, again, not seeing too much in terms of hail. Again, this is another one of those, much like this one out here, that's also still under that severe thunderstorm warning that we were looking at. It's kind of moving sort of parallel to Highway 8 there, headed in the general direction, I should say, of Potosi. Much like that one, you're also just seeing some of the same hazards. Okay, not really a huge hail signature, but definitely you've got the strong, perhaps possibly even damaging wind gusts, as well as that small hail potential. But the primary thing just going to be a light show in terms of you're going to have frequent lightning, strong winds, and very heavy rain coming down as well. Um, and that's another thing too. You've got more hilly terrain out through here. We're not talking about major mountain peaks here like the Appalachians or the Rockies, but with you are dealing with more of a somewhat of a more of an orographic feature here, and what that could potentially cause is you could see some drainage down those hills, down those smaller peaks. Okay, so that's the kind of thing, and some if you're at the bottom of that, obviously, you could see some flash flooding in the wake of some of these cells. Okay, that's definitely has the potential to happen, but we'll continue to monitor this. We've got some other cells starting to fire up to the west of here, and you can see them firing up right there. Um, and this is essentially what you're seeing here is you're starting to see this. You can kind of see it forming where you start with a couple of cells, and it's basically they just keep popping until you essentially have a short line here. And this is sort of this is basically what happens when what's referred to as the cap breaking, which is essentially you get this stable layer. This dry, stable layer actually originates over the desert southwest, and it gets transported into the middle levels of the atmosphere, middle to you could say the middle to somewhat maybe higher levels of the lower troposphere. But anyways, it gets transported in, and it basically blocks anything from forming until you get enough daytime heating, which you have plenty of this time of year in this area, as well as moisture and all the other ingredients coming together. And all of a sudden, the cap breaks, and it's just like it's just like it's just like a bottle. You take a bottle, maybe you have the cap just like barely screwed onto it, and if you squeeze hard enough on the bottle, what happens? Of course, you get eventually the cap's not screwed on too well. The cap will just pop off of there, even if it is screwed on a little bit. It'll just pop all of a sudden when you get enough rising force within the bottle, and of course, the cap just goes flying off there as you get this sudden rush of air going upwards. That's essentially what happens here. Okay, the cap breaks, and all of a sudden you get this huge rush of rising air, and what essentially happens is you get all that rising air, and these thunderstorms just fire, and that's essentially how it works, and that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing these cells just basically fire, these little discrete cells ahead of sort of this main line running through central Missouri. You've got these little discrete cells that are getting severe thunderstorm warned at times, and they're just popping left and right. Okay, they're just popping up and moving their way, making their way eastward ahead of this main line. Now, like I said, we're starting to things are starting to change. The sun's going to go down here shortly. Now, this severe threat will continue into the nighttime hours because it's summertime and you have still a lot of heat and instability. Just because the sun has went down for half an hour or an hour doesn't necessarily mean that all of that heat and moisture is just gone. Okay, walk outside, you'll see what I mean. But eventually, as we go through the overnight hours, you will see the threat start to shut off. But it will take some time, and you will see some of these cells continue to move through, and some of them will get severe thunderstorm warned. Regardless, These do have the potential to be deadly. You could be struck by lightning if you're out in the open. You could be if your car is outside and it one of these little cells sets up with a little small hail core. Okay, like has been warned on some of these. Okay, your hail could let's just say your car could be damaged by the hail. But that's something you gotta keep in mind here. So let's check back in. If we can get the radar to pull up, hopefully we can. On and we're starting to see the threat also shut off out here, especially, and even northern areas as well. Again, sun's going down. Not seeing too much, but nonetheless, let's take a look at what we've got going on here. We actually have no active tornado warnings, so that's a good sign. We're starting to see that shut down at least for the night. But we do have some warnings here with the destructive tag on them. So I want to see if we can. So this is San Angelo, Texas. So let's see if we can't. Let's see if we can't get this in here. All right. So Haskell County. Where's Haskell? Where's the warning for Haskell? Here we go. All right, so we'll get this in just a moment. And I forgot to mention because we pretty much just jumped right in. But if you haven't done so already, please like the stream down below, subscribe. If you have just the slightest hunch that you want to support the channel, like the stream, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you're already subscribed, thank you, and please continue to support the channel. If you really want to support the channel, if you really want to support it, only if you're absolutely sure, though. If you're not sure, don't listen to this next part. But if you're absolutely sure that you want to support the channel, you want to support what I do, please go check out the links in the description of the video. Anytime you do your daily shopping, go run some errands. Please don't run errands out in this mess. But or actually, if you want, if you have stuff that you need to buy, but you don't want to get out in this mess, you want to avoid all of this, which is honestly better. You can go online. You can go online to Walgreens.com. You can go online to Ace Hardware's website, and you can order stuff. You can place orders, and you can do so. You can also, I think I have one for, if I'm not mistaken, I have one in the description for PetSmart as well. But you can go to all these retail stores. You can also get yourself a survival kit from My Patriot Supply using the link in the description. This can potentially help you if your house does get destroyed in a tornado and you're like, oh, I have nothing. Okay, everything got wiped out. Perhaps the whole town got wiped out. My local bank is wiped out. I can't even get money out to go buy food. Which of course nowadays we have debit cards and whatnot. But who knows? Your wallet with your debit card in it might get flung 400 feet in a tornado, and you don't know where, and they haven't found it yet. So, and you're like, okay, well, how am I going to get food? Because all that got flung in the tornado too. Well, and again, I suppose your My Patriot Supply order might have also got flung in the tornado, but that's besides the point. But you get the point. Things can happen. Power can be out even for a little while if you do get impacted by a severe enough storm. And as these events continue to unfold, you want to make sure that you have somewhat of a non-perishable food supply that you and your family can subsist on for a few days if necessary. So that's a great reason to go to My Patriot Supply. But use the link down in the description of the video, and it helps us out. But that little shameless plug aside, let's get back to this. And I don't know why. Apparently, any radar that's not Missouri or Alabama can't get the GR software to pull it up. So I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning for that is, but we're gonna try some other ones, see if we can't get this to work. If not, we will go back to College of DuPage. But nonetheless, while we're gonna keep testing this and see if we can get to work. Like I said, please use those links down in the description of the video. Helps us out a lot. Helps support us here and keep this going. And helps us also get the microphone replaced so this isn't so poppy and annoying. And this actually will hopefully come in a lot clearer once we get those. But yes, please use those links and help us out. All right, so let's see. We have, okay, I'm going to try this again. Again, why this is, so I'm going to pull up San Angelo's radar and see if we can get this to work now. All right, so here we go. Let's see if we can get some data to pull in here. And again, be sure to like, subscribe, because we're going to be doing this more often. I've got some very, very complex and very interesting and important projects planned on this channel, and you don't want to miss it. You really don't. I'm going to leave it somewhat of a surprise right now, especially since I'm still ironing out the kinks in it. But definitely, you want to be subscribed. This is not a channel that you want to forget about by any means, or not be tuned into, because we have a lot of good stuff on this channel. We do a lot of cool things. We're going to do a lot of additional cool things, and that's that. So I don't know why this is not working, but we're gonna pull up the radar just to we're gonna pull up college page while that loads, hopefully, or doesn't, or whatever it's gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna go specifically to. So this is what we've got going on. You can see we've got we've got some cells popping up in Texas still, and I'm not sure which one of these got severe thunderstorm warning, but given we're dealing with it showed San Angelo was the closest radar site, so I'm not entirely sure. There's really not a whole lot out here, but perhaps this cell here looks like it's maybe causing some trouble out there in northwestern Texas. But I'm not really sure. It's really hard to tell. I wish I could get GR to update here, but we shall see. All right, so GR is essentially useless at this point. Not sure why, but it is just okay. So like, yeah, I don't know why it doesn't like the radars in Texas for some reason. I'm not sure what the issue is with that. But anyway, so here's what we've got going on. We'll do the best we can with Norman's radar, which is sad that GR is being this stubborn that it won't pull up anything else. But this is what we got going on. We've got some severe thunderstorm warnings up and running here associated with these cells. We also got a flash flood warning here from True Scott. We mentioned this earlier with this cell, this nasty cell that was tornado warned earlier and had that massive hail core with it as well. So now True Scott is under a flash flood warning. And then down further to the south, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9 p.m. Central Time for Haskell, northeastern Shackelford, and Throckmorton counties in Texas. And severe thunderstorm was located over Beau Martin, moving southeast at 45 miles per hour. So these things actually starting to pick up speed a little bit. Okay, we've been seeing a lot of southeast at 25 miles per hour. Now we're starting to see things pick up speed a little bit, which is actually good to see. Okay, it means these storms are actually starting to move. They're moving. They're out. They're getting out of the way. They're getting out of the area. Okay, but unfortunately, until they do, we're gonna have to deal with things like this. Okay, golf ball size hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts up here in northern Texas. Okay, and that's pretty much any one of these thunderstorm warnings here, these severe thunderstorm warnings. That's the kind of thing we're going to have to deal with. Is you're going to be dealing with hail. You're going to be dealing with damaging winds. Okay, it doesn't matter which one of these I click on. It's roughly going to be the same story, especially in this particular area here, sort of kind of like west of Dallas and west of Dallas and west of Dallas and east of Midland, sort of along that I-20 corridor, and sort of boxed in here by the state line. Okay, that's where we're seeing the worst of the weather right now. Also seeing sort of a secondary maximum, kind of along I-35 here, just south of Oklahoma City, as well as somewhat of a light show north of the city too, but not getting severe thunderstorm warning, but definitely frequent lightning and a relatively awful drive going up the interstate for sure. But definitely a trail of severe thunderstorm warnings south of the Oklahoma City metro down to the state line there, going down I-35. So definitely a very bad drive, and perhaps may need to pull off the interstate as these storms start to make their way in. Okay, so may need to pull off because again, we've got a lot of large hail with these. So let's take a look at just some of these since we have them here. Actually, this one was canceled. So, all right. So I think that one was canceled. This one's still in effect. Okay, moving east southeast at 25 miles per hour, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. So that's this one here. It's actually part of the interstate under the gun there. So roughly between Springer and Davis on I-35. I'm not entirely sure what exit numbers those are, but you're talking about not too far north of the border with Texas. But yeah, Springer, Davis. Let's see if I'm not seeing a whole lot of other major communities popping up on here, but that's essentially what it is. Like between Springer and Davis, we actually have a tornado warning now. Okay, so that's the first one in a while. 8:13 p.m. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Milo, moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. Tornado and golf ball size hail, and so that's definitely something we want to take seriously. And so yeah, if you're in the path of it, obviously move to the lowest interior room that you have, or the basement if you have one, or if you have a storm cellar, of course, use that. But central Carter County, as well as southwestern Murray County, you're under the gun here on this one. And of course, those are Oklahoma counties. So let's see if we can't get a somewhat of a read on what's going on. Not seeing too much on the correlation coefficient. Let's see if we're getting any rotation here. Yeah, okay, so we are. All right, so this is pretty much where the rotation is. Probably honestly headed right for Springer. At least the center of the rotation there, probably headed right for Springer. Of course, we're having some we're having some issues getting the radar data in, but you get the point. This thing, it's going to be. I'm just going to turn off the animation because that's distracting. but you get the point. Here's the latest frame. Here's your rotation right there. You see our strongest inbound winds coupled with our strongest outbound winds. You've got the rotation right there. All right, it's here you've got winds going towards the Oklahoma radar site and winds going away from it. So you've got that counterclockwise rotation there, and that's going to be making its way, of course, southeastward at 25 miles per hour. That's going to be making its way right through the town of Springer, and perhaps as well as Gene Autry if it holds together that long. So that's primarily what we're looking at. Um, Dixon, you also a little bit under the gun. Mansville too. That's primarily what we're looking at. Um, there's even a chance I think that perhaps even it's probably going to ride along the northern flank of this northern border of the polygon here. But it's still hard to say for sure what it's going to do because you never know what these things. Um, but with that being said, this is pretty much what we've got going on. It's an awful drive. It's an awful drive on I-35 right now. Pretty much from around Perry, just south of Perry, Oklahoma, down all the way into Texas. There, an awful drive for sure. So let's see if we can't get. I'm going to go back to Missouri real quick. But you get the point. We're going to have severe weather lasting well through the evening hours. Eventually, it will shut off and things will move on, but it's going to take some time. And in the meantime, Oklahoma and Texas, you really got to be on high alert, as well as parts of Arkansas and Louisiana. And that's going to be a concern there. You're going to looking at damaging winds, large hail, and even a few tornadoes, possibly. So, not even possibly. We have seen confirmed reports of tornadoes. So, and definitely we've seen rotation with a lot of these storms. We've seen a lot of tornado warnings get thrown out. But nonetheless, I'm going to grab St. Louis's radar one more time. We're going to look at that. Excuse me. We're going to look at that, and we're going to get this to pull in, hopefully, without too much hassle. And so let's take a look at what we got going on. Because again, I know most of my viewers, most of you are people who I grew up with, or a lot of you are people who I grew up with up in the St. Louis metro. So we're going to pay a little. I have a little bit of a reason to highlight this. So we also have another. Severe thunderstorm warning actually issued. Actually, right near the lake of the Ozarks. So let's take a look at this real quick. So actually, it was issued not on the wind potential, but actually the hail. Quarter size hail is the hazard on this. So we're talking about let's see, central Miller County in central Missouri is where this is located. So again, we've got this little cell that we're talking about here. Okay, it's moving across. It's just north of the lake here, and it's about to move across. It's already part of it's starting to move across Highway 54, but the real core of it, the nastiness of it, is about to move across between Eldon and basically where Bagnell Dam is, and it's going to be making its way eastward. So really, if you're out and about, you really want to be inside for this one. You can see all the lightning, frequent lightning coming down with this, and you could be struck if you're out there on the lake or if you're out there just going shopping or whatever. That's definitely going to be a concern. All right, excuse me, folks. I am going to go plug. I'm going to go. Bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to plug the computer in because it's about to die. So we don't want that. Of course, we want to be able to continue broadcasting here. So give me just a moment here while I plug that in. All right, so here we go. Should be good to go now. All right, so that's that. This is what we've got going on. So that's our cell there in just north of Lake of the Ozarks. Obviously, still have our line moving through, and actually, you're starting to see a lot of the lightning actually overrun the line itself, which is actually an interesting somewhat of it. Which this is actually not updated. Why is this not updated? Okay, I take that back. So it looks like okay, it looks like most of the cell is probably actually crossed over and is actually east of Highway 54, starting to move through towards Eugene and Mary's home. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to use the wherever the frequent lightning is to sort of gauge where it actually is because for some reason GR just really dropping the ball here tonight, unfortunately. Um, But anyway, so looks like probably from around Versailles down through Climax Springs and extending down towards Hermitage and Elkton, Missouri. And so that line, all that frequent lightning, it's about to cross the lake. You can see it. You can see all the frequent lightning over here. Okay, these radar image, the radar, forget the radar reflectivity. Okay, it's just it's it's not working for some reason. But just pay attention to where the lightning is because that is actually updated. Which of course it'll take just a moment for this to load back in. But all that lightning, as well as that short line, is about to move right across the lake. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. If the radar image is not getting transported to the GR for some reason. Not sure what happened there. All right, so we actually have another tornado warning that just got issued down in Texas. Good Lord, this software sucks. All right, and we can't view it unfortunately. But just basic information about it: Fisher County as well as Jones County, Texas. If you live in those two counties, be on high alert because there is a tornado warned storm on your way. Unfortunately, we can't seem to. Here we go. We can at least read the warning prompt, even if we can't get the radar up. Um, Tornado warning for southwestern Jones County as well as eastern Fisher County until 9 p.m. Central Time. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Roby, moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. Tornado and tennis ball size hail. Radar indicated rotation as well. So this dangerous storm will be located near Sylvester, Longworth, and McCully around 8:25 p.m. So right now, actually. So if you're in any of those locations, Sylvester, Longworth, or McCully, you definitely want to take cover. Go to your lowest interior room or a basement or your storm shelter if you have one, because there's going to be you have the potential for a tornado to drop at any time. All right. So with all that being said, I think since we're not really able to get the radar to work, unfortunately, and I think everybody pretty much gets the point of this. You've got severe weather going through. Just have a way to obviously receive alerts. This will eventually clear out. I know everybody up here, the southern plains and the Midwest. A lot of you guys have sort of severe weather fatigue at this point. All the things that have happened, all the severe weather events that have went through. But rest assured, we are actually about to be done. It's one more night that you got to be on high alert for things to roll through. for the most part in Missouri, we're not looking at anything really tornadic, but definitely getting storms that are severe, that are hitting the wind and the hail threshold to be considered severe. Absolutely. So again, not really seeing, not getting the latest radar for some reason here. Yeah, GR really has dropped the ball tonight with this, and I don't know if I mean, it can't just be. It's got to be having problems because there's no reason it should be doing this. I'm not sure what's going on with the software itself, but this is absolutely ridiculous how ineffective it is at this point. But let's take a look. We'll take a look at some of these other warnings just for the sake. We already looked at this one. We're going to look. That was the one that's near the Lake of the Ozarks. We're going to take a look at this one here that's closer to the St. Louis Metro, actually south of the St. Louis Metro. At 8:18 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near Courtois, or 17 miles southwest of Potosi, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and quarter-size hail is what we're looking at here. So, talking about locations, probably the big ones, Viburnum, Bixby, and I'm not even entirely sure which one of these two smells it is, because again, we have such a poor keeping up with of the radar here that it's not showing. So, it's not showing anything that's happened in the last half hour. But anyways, and you also see these cells developing in a line. So you've essentially got this line forming from around just to the southwest of DeSoto, which again experienced a tornado yesterday. Again, once again, getting very fiery storms moving through. In addition to what's back here in the western part of the state, you've got these fiery cells moving through, forming basically an additional line stretching down from around DeSoto or just to the southwest of DeSoto, stretching all the way down close to Springfield, and that's just going to be making its way sort of eastward, southeastward / eastward. So you're talking about southern Jefferson County, as well as again that sort of that corridor along I-60, or not I-67, just Highway 67, US 67. From Bonne Terre down to Farmington, you're definitely about to get hit with some of these stronger storms, as well as just generally down here close to the Boot Heel, Missouri. You're definitely going to be under the gun. So that's what we're talking about. This is going to be moving through as the night progresses, and with that, obviously, these will be moving through. Again, you see the clearing behind it. Okay, you see the clearing up in northwestern Missouri as these storms finally push through, and that front finally pushes through. But it's taking its sweet time, because a cold front is always going to have a hard time in the summer. That's just how it works. Okay, you've got too much warm air present, and it makes the front just sort of die out and stall. Okay, so that's what's essentially going to happen. And so that's going to move through, and we will see clearing as we go through the early part of the week up here. And with that, of course, I think I'm going to cut off the stream here. If you enjoyed the stream, please like it and hit the subscribe button, as well as go support me, please, using the links down in the description below. Also, follow my Facebook page, James's Weather Forecasts. The link for it is also in the description. But yeah, anytime you do your daily shopping, especially on a night like tonight, if you gotta do some shopping, don't bother running to the store out in this mess that's moving through. just go online, order your stuff, and do it using those links. It helps us out a lot. So with that, everyone have a good night. Stay safe. Keep an eye on things, and we are out.